pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to our meeting. The first thing on the agenda is a public hearing on the TIF district, the Monmouth Omnibus Route 202 tax district.
So I'll open the public hearing, okay. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Reagan LaRochelle and I'm the Economic Development Consultant for Monmouth. And I'm just going to pass these out to, these are just draft applications and I'll just quickly describe for the public record what the district is and what it's trying to do. Monmouth already has a TIF district. It's the Main Street Omnibus TIF district, which runs essentially down Main Street. It captures properties that are on, for the most part, on Main Street in Monmouth. The Economic Development Committee has been meeting and decided, because there was a property that was sold on Route 202 that they felt might have potential for development, that it would be a good idea to put that property in a TIF district along with some others along Route 202 that could be prime spots for development. And so this application represents the capturing of certain properties on Route 202. We have 19 properties in this TIF district right now, totaling 96.21 acres. And again, there's no specific plan development for these particular parcels, but we are reserving the opportunity for there to be development in the future that Monmouth might be able to capitalize on and utilize to incentivize businesses later on. So that's there, and there's no credit enhancement agreements that are associated with this TIF district. But if a business were to come that had some attractive offerings for Monmouth and wanted to ask for a credit enhancement agreement on one of these properties, this application allows for the opportunity to have a public hearing, let the public know about it, and then vote on that. I don't know how deep people want me to go in this, but I'm happy to.
Any questions?
Yeah, and if there are any questions or comments.
Yes, Dave.
Is it, are the properties that are gonna be included in this gonna be listed somewhere, or is it from Monmouth? Property line with Winthrop this way?
Yeah, right. No, good question. Because a TIF district is only, you're only able to have 2% of Monmouth's total area in the TIF district. I mean, it would be ideal to just put all of the properties on 202 in this TIF district, but size-wise, we wouldn't be able to do that. So what the committee did was they took actually quite a bit of time and chose some properties that already have development on them, with the potential that more development could happen on these properties. However, the great thing about a TIF district is that at any time, if for some reason a business wanted to put a huge building on a property that's not in this district, the town can amend the district and put that property in and be able to and include it in the TIF district.
Okay, so give me, for an example, in this current TIF district that's laid out on that map that I just saw, there's gonna be an application for a huge solar panel array. How would that affect the TIF district? Would they be eligible?
They would be eligible, but that it also doesn't mean that it's an automatic reimbursement of taxes. The developer would have to come to the select board and make the case as to why they needed some taxes reimbursed for that project. And the town could say yes or no based on the argument that the developer made.
Okay.
Any other questions? Or comments?
We will be voting on this on March.
Yes.
The election.
Right, and this will be on the ballot on the March 5th election.
Sure, available now.
Right.
Ted and I are both on the economic development, so is Chief Roy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just can't wait on this, but previously discussing TIF monies and switching. You need to switch for district. Was there some discussion on those possibly monies for the trails we've talked about or?
Yes, so and that's your Main Street TIF district does have a line item for those TIF revenues to be used to develop and maintain recreational trails. And I know that's something the Economic Development Committee is looking into. There's also a line item for that in this district. But the difference is on your Main Street TIF district, the new money is from your CMP transfer station, like you already have new development in that district. This one is kind of just a prospective TIF district. We don't have any real plans, we don't have a business that's saying we're going to, build a $30 million plant on this property. But if new value was created in this district, there is the opportunity to use those for trails.
She's impersonating Kent this evening.
I know.
Ken's name tag.
and you know why she's here.
I assume it's on development.
Yes, it's for that TIF. We're just doing a TIF public hearing
Yeah.
for a new TIF district.
And that you will be voting on this on the March 5th during the presidential primary.
All right.
So if there's no other questions, we can close the public hearing for this one.
For this one, yes.
The next one. And on to the public hearing for the Main Street Omnibus Tax TIF District. Main Street should be, I think it's the MA.
Yes, not like.
Oh,
Not the
like
state.
That got auto corrected.
Not like the state, but like.
Not
Rome.
like the state or like Brunswick.
Yeah, oh, yeah, or like, right.
So, I'll just introduce this one as well. This is, this, TIF district, the Main Street Omnibus TIF district was one that the town voted to approve last June. Amendment 2 was approved last June. And what we did with that amendment was we changed some of the projects that Monmouth could spend TIF revenues on. And we extended the duration of the district by 10 years. And that's all that we did. Sometimes you can add properties, take properties out. But all we did were those two things. When we sent in this application to the state, they flagged an issue with the amount of acreage that was in this TIF district that had previously been approved. It was just over the 2% threshold. And even though the state had approved it back a decade ago, they asked the town to fix it by removing a piece of property from the district as part of this amendment 2. So this is really just kind of a technical update to this TIF district. So it will be it will comply with the law. And so because we were voting on our Route 202 omnibus TIF district, the state said, can you just please vote on this one too, so we can make it as clean as possible? So it's really a technicality. If you'd like to look at your maps, we did have to decide to remove a piece of property from the TIF district. And we worked with the assessor and the Economic Development Committee and basically removed a piece of property that is at the end of the power lines right near Litchfield, that will never have any type of development on it whatsoever. And so we're just taking out that 11 acres so that the district will be in statutory compliance with the law. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about that. It's kind of unfortunate because it's confusing and not our fault.
Work for not much.
Yeah.
Up at the East Hill Road.
I think,
Yeah.
yes, right, down there, way down there.
Yeah, it's at the end of the line.
Yeah. And nothing. We're gonna vote on. Yes. Why do they call it omnibus?
So an omnibus TIF district is usually when there's a lot of properties in one TIF, a lot of different property owners in one TIF district. And all it means is that the town can give multiple property owners credit enhancement agreements, reimbursements on their property. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd only have one district would only go to one business or developer. So
Thank you.
it's a good question. It's not really self-explanatory. So. That's it.
So I'll
The names and try to do the times.
Thank you.
end the public hearing. And on to the approval of minutes for January 24th. And I do not have them.
The next one.
So, yeah. Then on to department reports and.
Hi, good evening. Gonna start out with, the fire department has recently acquired a little space here in this building, to start a gym, for the town employees. Primarily for the firefighters, to create a new health and wellness program, but, we're opening up the facility, for all town employees. Police department, if they don't wanna run all the way to Winthrop to work out, they're welcome to come work out here. Certainly in Public Works or any other department. Joe Fletch is here, so I'll thank him publicly, I already did privately, but I appreciate you letting us utilize the space at the other end of this building. And it's somewhat vacant for the past couple of years. He's got a lot of stuff in the other offices, center of this building. But I think it was just line dancing, I think primarily was being utilized last year. Certainly, if they want to do it again this year, if I say this space, just put the chairs to the side and they'll actually have a bigger space to spread out. Pass that along. Steve LaVerty or on. So I appreciate the town, I did talk to Justin about doing this and Lori Clark and kind of got their unofficial blessing, and then I'm supposed to bring it to the board and bring it to your attention, so it's kind of already done, but I really appreciate your blessing, just going forward that you guys are doing this, have a healthy fire department, town officials, but town injuries, workers' comp injuries, and all that fun stuff. I will share with you that it was 50% of I'm sorry, we have 50% of our fire department that's already pledged, part of this wellness program, which is awesome. I was shooting for like maybe 25%, but actually got half of our department saying that, try to do things to be healthier going forward, so. It's been a success just in the last couple of weeks. Just kind of a chat group amongst our firefighters, and we're seeing great results already. The equipment over there, we got probably $10,000 worth of equipment donated. So it costs the town or the fire department a single penny. Proud of that. Some of it's kind of a little outdated, so we're hoping to replenish it, replace it with newer equipment. As I did apply for a safer grant for MMA, the state of Maine. I think we're max of $5,000, I believe, for that grant program. So we won't find out till March. I think they awarded April. I think they do it quarterly, but the town can only get it once a year. Have you done that before, Chief? You didn't do it this year, did you?
No, I did it last year. We got $3,000 grant. Monmouth and one for one.
Great. So that's one little exciting piece that we're pursuing. This weekend, we're gonna be, hopefully, I gotta talk with Hugh after this meeting, but we're hoping to do our annual event at Wilson Pond. It's our ice fishing, Bill Pollard, Steve Dyer, outing, so it's always a fun time. We usually get about 50 people out there. So looking forward to that. It's supposed to be 50 degrees, so it should be t-shirt weather. The fundraiser for the Firehouse Museum property is all been advertised. It's gonna be at TJ's Place on the 21st is what we're advertising. We got several great raffle prizes. $5 a ticket, $6.20. Again, we got several $1,000s worth of items that are being raffled off. So come by, have dinner. We get 10% of food sales. In addition to the raffle tickets, and 100% of the proceeds goes towards funding our museum property. The firefighters, we're actually going to go the night before. Kelly and TJ offered us a second day just for the fire department so that we don't overwhelm the place on Wednesday night, which is wing night, their main event night. So could be pretty busy in there. So we're gonna go the night before. A lot of our fire department fans, certainly anybody else is welcome to come that day as well. I believe we get proceeds on both days, but we're only advertising for the 21st. Recently, our junior firefighters have been doing a recruitment effort. Pretty proud of them. This morning I was pumping gas at Quick Shop and I looked up and their LCD screen had a posting on there. Junior firefighters, if you're interested in joining, come Thursday night. So that was pretty cool. Chuck and Shannon to put that on there. They got flyers up around town yesterday, and then tomorrow they're at the high school doing a little recruitment effort. It was nice of Eric there to allow them to do that. I think we've got one female student that's going to be coming to our business meeting tomorrow night. It's interested in joining. She does. They'll bring us up to 5. We're hoping to get back to 10. We'll see how the recruitment effort goes. Light fixtures at the center station, they're going dark. The drivers and the LCD lights, the truck bays, they're failing for whatever reason. They've hit their end of life. So we're looking to replace those with newer and better equipment. We got a quote about $2,200 to replace all the 9 fixtures. And we have free labor with Ed Guiney, our local electrician and firefighter. So we'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. And then the last thing I got is just kind of an update on training for this month. We'll be training with the Cocknogan Trailblazers on snowmobile crash rescue. There'll be a practical exercise that North Monmouth will be doing on the 15th. On the 22nd, we got a couple fire marshals coming. They're going to do a presentation on the Farmington explosion that killed Captain Bell. I attended a recent training on that. I was blown away, no pun intended. It was just phenomenal presentation, and the body camera that was on one of the officers who's now a fire marshal he was a PD officer in Farmington, Eddie Hastings. 10 minutes of video watching the mushroom cloud, the debris falling and all his actions in that first 10 minutes was amazing. So it'll be good for the fire department to see that. Certainly, any police officers, if you guys want to come, watch that, you're welcome. On duty officer.
If you can forward me an email on that.
I will, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think you guys would get something out of it. And then the last one is just 16 life safety initiatives. I've been saying this for 3 months. Poor Lieutenant Fournier, he's been trying to do this training and it keeps getting postponed because of storms. That's all I got, unless you guys have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief.
Gonna be very, very brief, but, we are still working with the RSU, to develop the, crisis response plan. We have a meeting tonight at 4 o'clock in this room, over the, it was level, draft number 9 on our plan, we had to make some changes to it, make sure it coincided with the school plans. So we're just working out a few bugs there. We're looking at beginning of probably May to do an actual event at the school without students, just teachers. Leading up to it, we're gonna be doing some more Alice training with the new teachers. We're including all the RSU teachers from around RSU two, Pauldale, Dresden, to attend, to bring them up to speed, because whatever we do here, they're going to implement throughout the RSU. But we're making good headway on that. The plan, we finalized the document tonight as far as the official document. Now we're just doing bullet points for our command posts, so it'll make their jobs a lot easier in case we ever have a tragic event in one of our schools. But that's moving ahead very, very well. Everybody's up to date on their yearly training. I just submitted it to the academy. We met all the requirements for last year, and now we get to start training all over again in 24. We also have all our officers enrolled in the community policing course through UMA. It's a 15-week course. The town is going to be picking up half the cost of that course, and Harold Alphon Center for Betterment is picking up the other half of the course costs, which is going to equate to about, they're gonna pay about $2,200 for the course. And I think it's gonna better the officers as far as working more closely with our community here. So all our Monmouth officers are taking the course. I don't know, did you get signed up, Donna?
I was told full-time only.
All the Winthrop officers are going through the course at the same time, so it's I think it's gonna be beneficial for the town, for our department, and moving forward, just to help our community out. That's basically what I have to update you folks with.
Thank you. Just wanted to point out, I put a training in here about the extended producer responsibility law, just in case if any of you are interested in attending that, let me know. If not, I'll go so that I just know what's going on with that. And other than that, for the sake of how long the agenda is, if you have any questions, I'll answer them, but I won't put Joan on about my exciting things.
The loader.
Yes, it's back.
It's back.
Yeah. Back. Working.
All on a Christmas tree. Upstairs.
Oh, yeah. 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 So, well, that's good.
Yep.
Was it?
I haven't seen the final
Yeah, but-
invoice yet, but it didn't exceed what you guys had.
Okay. That's good.
It wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yes.
But that, when they pulled it out, there wasn't much wrong with it other than there was an oil leak.
Okay.
So it wasn't as bad as,
That's good.
or it's not what we thought it could have been.
Okay. 'Cause, 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 'c
Select board reports.
I have a time for the March 11th walk through for department heads, for the select board members, March 11th, which is a Monday, I believe, at 11 a.m. The architect is going to be there, and our group is going to be there. We're inviting the department heads to come. We're also going to invite the principals and the superintendent, so they can see what's going on there, and some other groups probably will reach out to the Lions Club and the churches so that they can see, you know, what it's like in there. I mean, I know you're interested to see, so you're more than welcome to come. It's open to whoever. You know, we're gonna obviously post it because we'll be together and we have to post the meetings,
Go
so.
on behalf of the planning board.
Yes, oh, perfect, yeah, so,
We
you
have a
know,
time on that.
11 a.m. on the 11th of March, so. And we're gonna ask from Nickerson and O'Day, the Darren, who was running the project for us and will be back in the spring when we restart it. He's a wealth of information because he's been in there since day one working on it, and really, he's a great guy. He has really bought into, you know, the history of it, so he's fun. I like Darren a lot. He's a good guy, and so that's the date for that. We look forward to having all the department heads there so they can see what it's going to be when we have it finished. The only other thing is the Valentine's Tea is back at the Academy and it's happening next Wednesday, so.
Contacted me, got the information out.
Oh, well, my mother's been calling the folks that were on the list from previous, so, and, but Christine Arsenault was working on that, so. I think it's 1 to 3.
I sent out an email to Michelle, but I heard
Nothing back, yeah, because I think Christine Arsenault was the one running the project, so, I think Mom was trying to reach Leonard and couldn't, so we'll pass it along to Leonard that he was invited to the Valentine's Tea. I don't know if she ever reached him, so, but that's back, and that's the only 2 things I have.
Do you know, what they will see when they go to this? The building is,
So obviously, there's no power in the building, so we're doing it during daylight hours, and you'll be able to see the blueprints are gonna be there, the architect's gonna be there to answer questions. You'll be able to see what it's like in there, because I'm sure nobody has, I mean, I've been in there a bunch because I've been coming up and doing things, but you know, from what it was to what it is, I mean, obviously, the walls are gone from that entryway. There's still the carrying walls, but the old suspended ceiling of the library is gone. The ugly green carpet is gone. You can see the floor that's there, and we'll have the you know, large architect plans there, so you'll be able to see where things are going to be and how it's going to be laid out, you know. And
Sorry, what kind of floor is there?
maple.
The old maple floor?
Oh, the maple floor was underneath that ugly green carpet, and it's beautiful in the old library. And it's the ceiling, you know, they're huge. I mean, once they took out that suspended ceiling and the ceiling is almost pristine, the plaster ceiling that was hiding up there, and it's full height. So, you know, you get the scale of that room in there and it's huge. It's really pretty amazing, you know.
and their sheetrock walls.
No, there's no sheetrock. They didn't put any sheetrock up because the building wasn't heated, so they didn't want to hang any sheetrock. But it's all studded, ready to do sheetrock once we, you know, start again in the spring. They took the dome up to their shop, so that's not in there anymore. Otherwise, but if you want to see the pictures of the process, restorema.org has all of the Rankin reports that they sent out every single day, so people can see the process from start to finish and but really, it's just essentially a shell, other than brand new windows, brand new roof, there's no more leaks, you know? And by the grace of God, when one of those big trees broke out back during the storm, it landed parallel to the building and the fence and didn't come down on top of the building, so thank my lucky stars for that, so. But essentially, you know, it's essentially a shell now, and the next step is getting the sheetrock started and all of that, and getting the heating and everything going, but they pulled out for winter since the power wasn't hooked up until probably a couple of weeks ago. So, and Jimmy is finishing the sewer line over there now since the sanitary district approved our application, so. But that's pretty much where we are right now with that.
And we have to decide how we're gonna go about finishing the project. Will we have some big items on our capital budget, and one of them is finishing that building. How much more it will take? We have to get that information. And then there are grants that are hanging in the air that we may be able to find and to fund for this, or maybe we won't be able to get it from them. So that's,
Yeah, we've got probably, I think Steve Eldridge has got 3 to 4 applications out there right now. It might be even more than that, but for grants. So that is, thank God he asked me to join and volunteered his time to run grants, but so he's been working on that, and there's, you know, essentially we'll have a building that if we don't do anything about the money, we'll have a building that we're paying for a loan on that we can't use because we can't flush a toilet. So if we raise the rest of the money and can finish the plumbing, we'll be able to utilize the building. This room, you know, this is getting more and more and more use. People are asking to use this and the space to be able to have events and things, you know, so for the want of a toilet, you know, that we'll be able to get that building finished. So.
Oil.
Well, but the thing is, you know, we've had a ton of donations, and we'll be able to use that building, and it won't be just us using it. There's a lot of interest with other people getting in there to use it, so. Yeah, oh gosh, yeah, so be able to use, there's the main hall, and then there's the other smaller room
No,
of the archives room that,
Just like it gets finished. it can be-
oh, exactly. Exactly. Well, exactly, and that's the thing, so that's why, you know, in my head, I finally said, well, so we either sit there and look at it and pay on the loan and not be able to get in there, or we bite the bullet and get the money and finish it and not bond it because we can't pay back a bond early. So if we get a grant, we can use the grant on a loan. So that's my hope and wish, so.
thank you. Now, next is public comment. Any public comment? To consider confirming the appointment of Tony LaPlante as Director of Public Works and Road Commissioner.
Introduce Tony LaPlante here. He came here tonight. So if you want, you want to just introduce yourself a little bit and say, give him your, high level experience.
Okay, so I grew up in Augusta. I started my public works career 20-something years ago in Hollowell. Ran that department, moved up to Gardner, was the director in Gardner for several years. Went to Augusta. Was there for 4 years as the deputy director, and then the last year I've been just doing private construction. Just happened to see the ad in the paper, and not in the paper, online. I was actually looking at a project that was a road washed out, well, how I found it. And I've been doing FEMA projects for the last 3 months from all the rain. So that's how I found it, and I like the smaller communities. Augusta's a lot of politics in Augusta. So I'm energized and looking forward to it. Always willing to talk to, so.
This is gonna be enough of a challenge for you at this stage. I think.
Well, the learning, the community is, I was familiar with Hallwell, I was familiar with Gardner, I was really familiar with Augusta. I can't say I'm gonna need some help here, from what I hear, I have a dependable crew and got some institutional knowledge to help get started. I think that once we're rolling, it's gonna be good. Looking forward to it.
The real historian when he comes back from Florida, our public works director, Herbie Whittier, who was here for how many years, Hugh?
Jesus, 40.
Yeah. So he'll be back from Florida and he is always right there to lend a hand in his knowledge and say, this is this and that is that, and he's born and bred, but I can say personally, I'm excited to have somebody that's got experience, knows how to lead a crew and pick us up by our bootstraps and get us going again, because we've had a real ebb and flow for the past several years. So I think we just need a strong leader, and I'm really excited to have that. So.
Was there an initiative with Winthrop? Did that fall through?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
They weren't it.
Winthrop didn't want
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yes.
you.
Can we be so bold as that some personal data, like wife, children, brothers, sisters?
Yeah. Got a younger brother, probation officer. He's been probation for 30+ years. My wife is, if you're familiar with the VA, is Togus, there's the main VA, and then it's called VISN, it's New England VA, and she's in charge of the procurement for all the supplies for 11 hospitals, so she's got a pretty big job. We got married a couple years ago. I lost my previous significant other to cancer 6 years ago. So I lived through that battle. That was a little tough, but as anybody that's gone through it would know. So Lisa and I got married. We've been together for 4 years now. I have a daughter that is in her last semester in her 7th year of college. Yeah, the good news is she's sick of school. So, I'm looking forward to that pay raise. But, she's going into child counseling and psychology. So as everybody knows what the last 4 years have been like, she's gonna have a lot of customers. And she's very, very good at it and likes doing it. she's in Boston for her masters and has told me that she's not coming back. She likes Boston. I said, well, when you start a family and you see what Boston really costs, you might go back. Lisa, I have a stepson now. He's a doctor down in Portland, with two grandchildren. For us, a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, and you know, they're a lot of fun. Lisa does a lot of babysitting for them to help them out, so we get to see those kids a lot, so.
Appreciate you sharing your personal
Yeah.
insight. We get to know it.
I went to the
Thank you.
dentist the other day.
Where do you reside?
I live in Bethel.
I guess,
I've lived here my whole life.
you okay with the 20-minute commute?
Yeah, it's, you know, I've been driving to Jay for 2 months, so,
Yeah,
you know, I don't mind the ride, you know, it's a cup of coffee in the morning and it's actually 21 minutes.
Yeah.
It's right here, so,
I've done that.
yeah.
yeah. As long as you're coming this way, this is the way to come in the morning,
yeah.
because that's the way to come, leave town while everybody else is driving in on 202, so.
5 o'clock traffic.
Well,
Oh,
coming
wow,
out, yeah,
yeah.
tonight it was like,
Yeah,
like that, 6 in the morning.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. As long as you're not trying to get off the interstate at like 4 and the exit and sitting there like,
That's
I'm
one
never.
of my little options and I saw how bad that choice was.
Which way do I go? Do I go to the second exit and loop around and scoop back? You know, so. No, and you know, DOT takes okay care of the 202, so it's pretty clear sailing usually, so. On stormy days, but you'll be here ahead of that anyway on stormy days. You'll be already here plowing. So.
Used to love winter.
Used to.
Back when it snows, not all like.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So,
I make a motion, unless you have any questions, all right,
I do.
go right
Yes,
ahead.
Justin, it's within your purview to appoint position.
Yeah, so, technically, the DPW director position, I don't need the board's permission. It's been practice here to bring the department heads to you, but the ones that I need confirmation from you are the statutory jobs. So the road commissioner job is a statutory job. So for him to have that title, I need an affirmative confirmation from you guys, technically speaking.
Thank you.
Yep.
so Chris,
I'll make a motion to confirm Anthony LaPlante as the Director of Public Works and Road Commissioner.
Second.
so it's a motion by Chris, second by Joe to appoint Tony LaPlante as our Director of Public Works and Road Commissioner. All those in favor? Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Next is to,
We'll be in touch.
All right.
And also the time for you to come through.
Yeah, so-
you around next week?
Yes.
Yeah.
We just work around any snowstorm.
Right, yes.
Okay,
Thanks for
thank you.
Thank you very much.
there you are. Next, to consider conditionally awarding the Wilson Pond Street Crossing Replacement Project.
So we got, a whole bunch of bids for this. We got a decent price on it too, if I can find it.
Had a bunch.
So the low bid is Saint Laurent and Sons for $174,800. The price with the culvert in that is putting us under budget, which is good. So if you take the box culvert itself and the installation and the road construction combined is $286,000. We're receiving $150,000 from the state for the stream crossing. So it's 136,000 and some change left, but we'll need 150 for contingency. With the Cocknoagan Dam being over budget, we're like 40-something thousand short. So we'll have to figure that out through the rest of the budget process about how we're gonna get the rest of that money. That's why it says conditionally, because I don't technically have enough money to pay for it. Rob said that that's okay, that the vendor should be fine with it, as long as they know that. Can't do the work till after Labor Day anyway, so it's late in their construction season.
Did he say why there was such a huge variance?
He didn't, we were all kind of surprised at the range, I mean.
Holy moly.
So what she's talking about is that the low bid was 174,800 and the high was 508. So there was a huge range and they just slowly went up too. So it's not like it's not like you're looking at this one and saying, wow, it's way up, because the next lowest one is low 180s.
Yeah.
So it's all, I have no idea.
It's just so weird how, some of them are within range for,
Certain items,
and then there's like, they're lopsided on other items. It's just odd that, who knows?
Where's the street and crossing?
it's near the campground, the Beaver Brook,
Oh, it's up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on Wilson Pond, down at the end.
Struggling with
Yeah,
keeping it usable.
yeah. So I make a motion to accept the bid from Saint Laurent and Son for the Wilson Pond Stream Crossing Replacement Project.
So Chris has made a motion and Joe has seconded it to conditionally award the crossing replacement project to St. Laurent. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is a workshop on the Community Resilience Partnership.
And basically and then any action, so like I sent in my memo to you folks, I added an item to the resolution document because it required to have two. You guys had approved one item at your last meeting and there has to be a minimum of two, so I added one, which was just investing in energy efficiency and weatherization improvements to lower municipal electricity expenses and make buildings more comfortable for employees and visitors. And I figured that the work that we're planning on doing at Compton would fit right into that project, and then anything else we do with LED lighting, which we're trying to set up meetings with vendor, do the town buildings for that. That all kind of fits with what we're trying to do. So I added that, so if you're okay with that, that would be, that's an item for you guys to discuss, but the main item is the self-evaluation, which I completed, and then the list of community actions, I completed these forms as well, the ones that we're working on. But the ones I thought you folks should decide is on the first page of the community resilience self-evaluation is these items, which are kind of community-wide. I thought they should come from you and not necessarily just from me. And the questions are, what are two things your community is doing well? The other one is, what are two areas that could be improved in the short term? What is important to your community to address in the long term, and what specific 3 to 5 actions are priorities for your community? And I know that Doug I put it in front of you, the Economic Development Committee just kind of started doing this exercise, so I put that in front of you folks as a starting place, because maybe you can just kind of take a few of those, and unless you have your own ideas, of course, but starting place. We can just get some items for that, and then if you wanna, after that, it's just kind of approving these. These documents will allow us to apply to be in the partnership, and then the next step will be hopefully working with KB Cog and Winthrop on a joint application.
We have to be, like, if we're saying two things your community is doing well, how specific do we need to be, or?
I think it's really, it says you can use the prompts, so it's just looking for you to kind of, I think you can answer these really any way you want. You could either refer to the items in the list that they have, or you could pick other things, but I would keep it sort of in the wheelhouse of the purpose of this is supposed to be kind of resilience, you know, in the face of either climate change or sea level rise, which doesn't matter here, but.
Well, obviously, we have addressed, one of our dams, but we need to. Events.
Yeah, I mean, so on the. I mean, you could focus it on real specific items, like you could say, we need to do more work to deal with. You know, either, I'm just gonna rattle some things off to give you some brainstorming ideas, but storm response or putting more resilience into our roadways, which would be, improved culverts and ditching stuff, which obviously we could always do better, that's a never ending battle. You could focus on, energy improvement type projects. I think we're kind of going down that road already. We did the LED lighting and the street lights. We're actively trying to improve. Well, like this building, the heat pumps are in here. We're trying to make significant investments in Cumston Hall to reduce our not only fossil fuel use, but just energy use and the costs.
Will you,
I can draft the language if you just kind of point me in the right direction. I just thought the direction should sort of be yours to make, and then I'm happy to put language in here for you.
but you seem to be headed in the proper direction from what you just said.
Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, I can do that. I'll do.
So those would, there'd be things we're doing well, and then things we should improve in the short term.
Well, whether we want to move out of that, energy efficiency and, water dam projects and all of that. I mean, one thing that we are moving forward is that, be age friendly in developing that part. So I think we can include that in there because strengthen public health is one of the things that they have. So, we are moving in that direction to add those things. And then
As a strength or as an improvement in the short term?
short term, I assume. And then because of the project in North Monmouth water lines, improve and protect drinking water. So, we do have, that project in the works too. So that is under G3. And then the health one is under F15.
The 3 to 5 specific actions, I mean, I can pull those out based on the ones that, as you go through this list, the ones that I clicked yes, and I could just kind of pick
Yes.
a few that I think are the bigger ones that we're doing. If you're comfortable with me doing that, I'm
Yeah.
happy to do that. I just want to make sure that you're okay with that.
Yep.
Yes.
For sure.
If it's a yes on here, it means that we've already done something with it. So
Yeah.
I can do that. If that outline is okay, we can do that. I would like to have you, re-vote on the resolution, because that's supposed to come from you folks. I added that paragraph about
Oh,
energy
yeah.
efficiency. Just to kind of replace the one that you approved at your last meeting.
Yeah.
You want somebody to read all this or just to vote on the?
I don't think so. It's posted online. I mean, you have read it, so if you're okay with it, that's okay. If you're comfortable with it, you can add anything you want, of course, it's your document. Process is up to you, because it's a workshop, not a public hearing. It's up to you whether you want to take comments from the audience. That's Doug's document, I think.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Megan would know. We did it at our.
It can't be a long one, it's gotta be a short O.
I think it's just a process to like evaluate yourself.
I can look it up.
Be a short O, not a long O, there's no other vowel.
Guess what?
Oh, no,
it's,
it's a.
This is opportunities and threats. Yes.
Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
What are you working?
Well, do we need to vote on this?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Monmouth Municipal Resolution for the Community Resilience Partnership.
Chris has made a motion, Joe has seconded it to approve the wording for the Monmouth Municipal Resilience Project. All those in favor? Thank you. What is the word? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we're glad we were sweating at it for a minute. So.
Next is to consider naming a road at 188 Nevesacuk Road, which Dave knows well.
I did not do it.
Is this your road?
Yes, ma'am.
This is his road.
Yeah,
You wouldn't have just come for entertainment value. I figured you had to have a purpose.
I thought he was here for entertainment.
What's the name, what name has been proposed?
I had it on the.
It's in,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't-
It was my mother, I mean, my wife's decision.
How many houses on the road?
It'll be 3 lots if it's approved. It's just, my mother-in-law was the original one, and then we split off one for us, and then, the third one will be my wife's grandparents. And we just have a gravel driveway going down the middle. We were hoping to give a cute little name.
Okay, you?
Mr. Lamaska,
Where is this located?
188.
One
near Hanson's Woods Road.
Thank you.
before Hanson's.
Yeah.
Robertson property?
Yes.
Oh, so, thank you.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes.
We need to put our perspective on it, right?
Yes. Our town. Oh, Illinois, and we're
And you're, are you Joe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
So T-Town.
Yes.
Here's the map if you want to see it, Joe.
Andy included that in
And-
case you didn't know where it was.
And if you want to see the map, if you don't know for sure.
Okay,
pretty well.
all right, fine.
So
I make a motion, we approve the naming of Tea Time Lane, which is located at 188 Annabessica Road.
Second.
The motion by Chris, second by Joe to approve the naming of the road at 188 Mesquite Road to be Tea Time Road. All those in favor?
Tea Time Lane.
Tea Time Lane.
Lane.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Taylor, did they know you're gonna get a new address, a new numbered address?
Yes.
Okay.
And next is to discuss the town beach ordinance.
So this is a draft to replace what appears to be two ordinances right now. The main motivation for this was to allow you to have the authority to one, allow non-residents to use the beach, and two, so you have the authority to charge fees for that, as you asked when we had this discussion. This doesn't specifically allow it, but it allows you folks to make that choice. Basically, the townspeople would turn that decision over to you, and we need an ordinance for that to happen. Secondarily, when I was looking up these ordinances, it doesn't appear anywhere in the town meeting minutes that the original park ordinance was ever repealed. It looks like it was meant to be replaced by the current one, but there's no language saying that the old one was replaced, and they're not similar enough to say that it was an edit. It was a redrafting. So the first ordinance spends a lot of time talking about the creation of the Recreation Commission. The second one references the Recreation Commission, but doesn't have any discussion about how that commission is composed of, the terms, or, so it's a little confusing. Currently, the Recreation Commission doesn't function. It doesn't have members enough. They just don't function in its current organization. It doesn't. So when this ordinance effectively replaces those two, the Recreation Commission would go away unless you want to add it back in. But I'm just trying to warn you the effects of all that. But so that's what, and my thought was is that the Recreation Commission is very specific on what its responsibilities are and charge, and it's done in the ordinance, opposed to it being a committee appointed by you folks where you could make the committee's charge, like you could direct it more at your will if it was an ad hoc committee like any other town committee is. So the thought would be is if you wanted to stand that up after it went away, you could just create a recreation committee that you would appoint members to. And then so I wanted you to have that full kind of background of what the effect of this will do. And then I put the language in front of you so you guys could decide. This is a combination of a few other town beach ordinances that are around here. Primarily, it's Reed Fields. Just to be honest, I modified that and then added some from some other ones, but primarily this is a Reed Field beach ordinance. If there's any questions in there.
How would this affect Joe and his position?
The original park ordinance that I'm not sure if it was meant to still exist kind of outlines that the budget process for recreation and basically all parks in town, which would also include like Whittier Woods, which they didn't really do. The Conservation Commission essentially takes care of that. But the way that ordinance is written is the commission is essentially responsible for all trails and parks and recreation and creating the budgets and doing all of that. So I think if you folks had a charge that you wanted the Recreation Commission to continue in the assisting in the budget development, you could, but functionally the whole time I've been here, it doesn't participate. We built the budget for rec, me and him and Lori do it, and that's that. Does that answer your question?
I guess so.
It doesn't functionally supervise him, I do, so. But he's supposed to consult with them about developing the budget and stuff like that. That's what the ordinance basically states. And that anything that's going to be done on town parks is supposed to be sort of run through them first for a recommendation.
What happens is you mostly do summer things here, right? Soccer and basketball.
Well, we have winter basketball, we have fall soccer.
Oh.
We have camps in the summertime as well. And then we also, and the beach as well.
But you don't really,
I'm not involved with the beach.
yep,
I haven't been.
The commission overall was, though, right? So it's just, you could decide. If the commission went away, there's nothing to say that you couldn't have the rec committee be involved in all those things. It would just be, you could give them clearer guidance on what their responsibilities are. I'm not sure they provide much of a service in developing the budget. They don't have access to the invoices or the actual costs of any of the facilities. So they basically get that information from me, and then they try to extrapolate how that's gonna work in theory, and I don't see the value add to that at all. Yeah, I know what the electricity costs at the beach. I can tell you what it's gonna be next year, you know, it's just, it's not, I don't think it's helpful, in my opinion.
I think it's been kind of a hindrance at times too, so it's not been,
I agree with that.
you know,
It's been a struggle, to be honest with you.
It has.
Since the passing of Pat, we haven't, we've had people show interest in being in the rec department or part of it and not follow through. It's been a struggle.
my only question is, the main thing that we had discussed was about whether or not, you know, yes, this document needed to be improved. But one of the things that we had mainly discussed was about whether the townsfolk wanted us to allow people outside of the town to come in. So if this is approved, then it still comes back to us about whether or not we allow outside residents
would-
and whether we choose to charge them.
Right, so the policy which would be attached to this, it would be an addendum you would approve, and that would set the rates for those fees if you wanted to do it, who could have them, how many, and all that. That would be through the policy development, which would be authorized by this ordinance. So you're right, it would come back to you at some point. We have,
Decide whether or not we'd let out of towners, you know, come in and purchase passes.
so likely I would envision probably a public hearing
Yes.
and try to let the people that, you know, maybe the people that use it the most, or at least the neighborhood down there know. So you can solicit their feedback, but there would be a policy that we'd have to develop in addition to this.
Okay, all right.
We could put a non-binding question on the ballot as well if you wanted to in the warrant, like there's nothing that says you can't do that. You could ask that as a question, like, do you favor allowing this? It wouldn't be binding on anything, but we could ask that question.
I think that would be helpful.
yeah, it would definitely get people's opinion,
Yeah,
I think.
because, you know, we got a lot of one-sided opinion and not a lot of,
Yep.
you know, I think that if there was a non-binding question to let us know what the consensus is for people, I think that would be a good idea. Don't you agree, Joe, that?
I think that as the rec director, I would rather correspond with you to give me directions rather than a commission.
Oh, exactly, but I'm talking about whether or not we allow people, outside people at
Oh, I
the
think,
beach.
yeah, it'd be good to have the public. opinion.
Exactly, so I think having
Yeah.
a non-binding question.
I think we gotta keep it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that I think it's important to,
You should have a pulse, yeah.
yeah,
What-
and
what-
figure out
What people are thinking.
what people think. Yeah, for sure. So,
Yes, Dave.
Okay, so I'll put my other hat on, planning board hat. We have an application coming to the planning board for a campground off of Packard Road. You all know that. Where the planning board in discussion has said that because it's resource protection, we're not gonna let them use the water. Their comeback was that they're all gonna use the beach, the public beach. They're not residents, they're paying for a campsite, going to drive around and use the beach. What do you want the planning board to do?
well, if they're not residents and we decide not to allow, then they
It's
won't
resource
have.
protected, so they'd be limited to one dock but they could put it 50 feet out with Ts across. There's a lot of things that can happen. So, you know, we would like, when it comes to us next month, so I think it's next month, or the month after. How do you want us to handle that? I mean, we're discussing it now about fees. Are you gonna charge them?
Oh, out of town people would have to buy a pass. If we allow them, if we end up deciding to allow
Okay.
out of
So
town,
there's a possibility that they could buy a pass, or there's a possibility that we're not gonna let.
exactly.
So the
Let them
way that,
decide.
the way that this ordinance is written is if you're a resident or a taxpayer, so if you're
Okay.
then you're eligible for an annual pass, which is free. And if you're not, then there are different categories for week passes, day passes for guests. And that policy would outline, does the town only want to allow 10 of those a week, 100 a summer? Or how much is, I think in Reedfield, I think if you're a non-resident guest, so like say you just rented a property, I think it's like $100 a week to go use. It costs some money, so you have to really want to do it. But, you know,
Where would they get these passes?
well, that's the other thing that would be in the fall.
Office is closed on Fridays.
Right.
Exactly.
That would be the other,
That's when
that,
most people come.
but that's all through the policy. You don't put that kind of detail in an ordinance. So what we would do is when we were talking about the policy, there would be a discussion that, which I had this conversation with Kent on the phone for. It'd need to be a discussion about just what she said, like, would they only be able to get those at the town office? In Reedfield, you can get them at the town office, or you can get them when there's a beach attendant on duty, and if not, it's too bad, so sad. You have to plan better.
Yeah.
There should also be a discussion if you want people collecting that amount of money at the beach, whether anybody down there should be handling cash or whether we should only be taking debit cards or checks or something, you know, like those would all have to be worked out if you chose to do that. Because they're all choices about, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I'd be hesitant to have, you know, people collecting $100 out of whack
Oh,
down
gosh,
there
yes.
with, you know,
Yeah.
just.
With a receipt book.
Right, it's just right for it to disappear.
Exactly. It's not doesn't give me a warm fuzzy.
This campground is gonna go through.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. We've only had one preliminary meeting for them to get their act together. So we're waiting for them to get their act together, but they have been in there clearing and making roads. With little street signs on them. So, you know, I guess they're gonna do it. They have the money. They're pot growers. They have plenty of money. People have bought it. Where's the school?
Off of Packard Road. Yeah.
Packard.
So if they wanted to, they could go down to the North Monmouth Beach. You know, there's no,
It's private beach, they could,
well,
well, they'd have to seek out permission through
Yes,
what Monmouth Community Club representative.
yes.
wait a minute, I thought we rented that beach.
Sort of, we take care of it, so
We
the
take care of it. That's the only thing we vote on is the maintenance of it.
maintenance of it, yeah.
Yes.
But we don't control who can use it.
No.
Correct. They effectively don't either. I mean, they don't really know who's there.
Times they do.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, you know,
Intermittently supervised.
yeah.
So they have no lifeguard or anything?
No.
There's only one or two people left on the committee, so they don't have.
Yeah.
time. Occasionally.
So really what will happen with this ordinance, so you know, the process is you guys can give me feedback if you want to change anything. Doesn't have to be tonight, but it will be part of if you choose to move it forward, it will be a question on the town meeting ballot, and the public hearing for it would be the same day that you do the public hearing for the warrant and the budget, and you do this, and that would all be part of, there'd be a public hearing for the warrant.
The town would be asked to approve the ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah. And yeah, I think it would be good to have that
That extra question.
non-binding question about that on there, so, but my reading of this, I thought it was But I didn't have any issues I saw with it.
Justin and Refield.
Yeah,
It's a well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
yeah, I
not
thought that it
always-
was.
worth reinventing the wheel.
You guys share all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, all the time. I called her right up. I said, hey, Eric, can I have a Word copy of that?
Good job, thank
He
you.
said, sure.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Are you good with it?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so on to, the budget for culture and recreation, Thompson Hall Library and. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Like I'm through it now.
Well, I think we can,
You're on your
so if we just follow kind of the way the budget is, it would be parks first.
Yeah.
Recreation really is what it is, but. So. There isn't too much changed in here, right, Joe? There's not much changed.
Right, tonight,
The only thing that I would say has changed, which didn't have anything to do with Joe, is that. At some point, there has to be a decision about what your expectations are for. Lifeguards and all that stuff down there, because I know I didn't put anything in there because I could sense some apprehension about the. $70,000 figure that was on there, and right now, there is no lifeguards in there at all. So what I did was I put, in the note, you can see I have somebody that would basically collect the fees down there if that's what you wanted to do, and that's the rest of it. I don't have really a suggestion. For you in that. I think that it's a quite inexpensive operation personally. The way that it's been run recently.
and do we want to continue?
Right, do you want to continue with that and modify it or anything? If you give me some direction, I can try to figure out what that would look like budget wise.
I don't know, do you have figures on how many people participated?
With the use of the beach, no, I don't have that information.
For the swim program. I think the only thing that I kind of, having graduated from Mary Chesley's swim program, and been there, and plus I taught swimming lessons myself. I think it's invaluable for children to learn how to swim. So
Yep.
I think if we somehow are able to at least have, swimming lessons, I think that's a great benefit. But I totally do not agree with having dawn to dusk lifeguards there to the tune of 17 different names a week getting checks, to parking attendants, how many lifeguards, because there always has to be 2 at a time. That was a little insane. I thought that was crazy. So, but, for me, if we had a swimming lesson program, that would definitely, I think, is an important thing.
Yes, and Justin, I know that the UMF has an aquatics program. And they train people to do this sort of thing. Not just to be lifeguards, but also, I think, to run a program. And of course, I don't know, I guess the thing to do would be to reach out to, right?
St. Joe's has that same
They
sort
do
of
too?
program.
Yeah.
Because when I was looking around about how people get certified as lifeguards, I saw St. Joseph's College has the way to get certified as well, so.
Because as Chris said, I think it's so valuable for kids to be part of it. So important.
Yeah. And I think that, with the want of people for recreation programs that are desiring recreation programs, that's one that's truly really important, so.
What, do you have any sense about whether you wanna, outside of the swim lessons, do you want lifeguards down there at all? Do you want, because you could do any number of things, right? You could have it be, you know, like I think the beach ordinance says that between 9 and 5, it's the town beach and you can't be down, but after 5 o'clock, it's like, it just turns into, you can just walk down there if you just wanted to go look at the lake at night or whatever. So there's all those kinds of parameters. If you want to have any, we could shrink it back a little bit. We could shrink it back a lot to be just weekends or, you know, whatever. Do you have any sense of that part of it or?
Well, if there's swim lessons, there'll be, essentially lifeguards there. But then beyond the swim lesson time, which I don't know what the time is anymore,
They typically would have the swim lessons in the morning,
Yes.
and the people that taught the swim lessons were also lifeguards.
Yeah.
And how they organize that, I don't know, it's a logistic nightmare with so many lifeguards and a lot of children.
What have we done in the past about lifeguards?
Hire
We've had,
a whole slug of them.
we've had between 17 and 20 lifeguards.
And they serve,
Some are,
at
some
one
are
time,
seasoned lifeguards that have been doing it a while, and some are, you know, fresh out of, still in high school and learning on the job after they get their certification.
and when's the coverage? When do they
They're
go?
essentially there all the time,
They're there all the
just
time.
about. I mean, it's a large portion of the day, every day.
And
And then
that's,
there's an attendant that watches, you know, whether you're a resident at the gate that they.
12-hour day.
Yeah.
From 8 to 6 at least, or 8 to 6 maybe. It's a long day.
I would envision with like annual passes is they may even just turn into like your dump stickers. It may serve a dual function because they're the same people that can get them, right? So that may be the thing. And if you had like a beach, you know, manager type person, you could have that person just kind of could not only do that, but could maybe make sure the trash is taken out and help with cleaning up if there's a mess down there, but they would also kind of wander the parking lot and make sure everybody there. So when they pulled in, they might just kind of look at you when you go in the park and be like, do you have a sticker? You know, it would be a little different. It wouldn't be, there wouldn't be kind of like a gate guard. It would be more somebody that was doing other things down there, but would keep an eye on it.
If you decided to let non-residents use the beach, you're gonna want some personnel there to supervise, because it can get really busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's just non-residents, then you're gonna end up having to somewhat police it to say, hey, look, you don't have this sticker, you don't belong here. That could get a bit tricky. It's such a pristine spot, people wanna go there.
and Reedfield has 2 people there, Dale.
They have a beach manager who's basically a full-time. And then he has 2 part-time people, so they can cover, they basically patrol the beach from 9 to 5. And then those people are also responsible for mowing the lawn and putting the picnic tables back, like they do everything down there during the summertime. Like they take care of it all, they police the parking lot, they make sure that people aren't doing things they're not supposed to, like you can't pull a boat up on their beach. If you do, they say get lost, you know, that type of stuff.
And I don't know, smoking, drinking,
Yeah, whatever the rules are, those people are responsible. They're also they collect fees when they're down there. They do allow that to happen. If they're not there, then you have to go to the town office.
and how expensive? You think, you have any idea how much it is for Reedfield
What, to pay the people?
to do this, to do that with that number of people?
Well, like I have like a person that would, you know, I think I threw something in there because I think they're paying somebody like, you know, $16 an hour or something to be the full-time person. So if you do that over just the summer break, it's like $6,000 a year. That's what I have for numbers in here. I just have that and the 2 part-time people at like 4,800 each. So right now I have about 12,000 in there to provide those functions, but that was just a stab in the dark. I mean, I don't know if that's enough. I was just trying to put something on here, not knowing what it was you wanted to see down there.
When do you have your public discussion?
The public hearing would be, they have to, it's like.
I printed
Oh,
this off.
is it March, the end of March?
The public hearing is March 20th.
I think that would be a good, I think it would be important for you to know what the population of Monmouth would like to see.
Well, they'll have to show up. That's the thing, you know? I just think it's been a little bit crazy down there in the past several years, with so many people being involved, So I think there has to be some sort of constraint on that.
We could certainly just, if you wanted to try to like ease into it, we could certainly just make some incremental changes where we just, we limit how many lifeguards we actually hire. And, like there's also kind of a lot of stuff that goes on down there where they have there's been sort of I think it's like an informal policy where they stay around for 2.5 hours when it's raining or a thunderstorm to see if it's going to clear up. And in my opinion, it would be as soon as it starts raining, you guys go home. Like that's it for the day. Like if the sun comes out at 3 PM, well, there's no lifeguard for the rest of the day. So it rained this morning, like there are certain things we could do to certainly, I think, cut down on the payroll and the number of people that are down there. But somebody has to manage it too. That's it has to be managed. Which is a lot of work, especially when you're managing, teenagers and stuff. They tend to flake out, not show up for their shifts and all that.
Keep them off their phones.
Right, yeah. So we could, if you wanted, we could just sort of, so you leave enough wiggle room for yourself as we kind of move through the process, especially if you wanted to put a question on the ballot. We could just cut that budget back to like 50 from 70, and then we could just see what we could make work. And it certainly would cut back on, then we can see how many hours we can fund in there. Like
Yeah.
maybe turn it to a 9 to 5 operation or even a 10 to 5, or it's not really that warm at 9 o'clock in the morning, a lot of days in summertime. I know little kids don't care how warm it is, but.
My mother said, get in there, you're taking your lesson. And I went in and I scooched down up to here and my lips turned blue and I took my swimming lesson.
But your mom was with you, right?
Well, exactly.
And I've often thought that, why do we have lifeguards from 8 to 10? Why not start at 10? Because
Yes.
typically, the people that are there at 8, they have an adult with them.
Yes, and there's, if they've got instructors, they're obviously
Right.
certified. So, that's the thing, then the lifeguard process starts at, 10 o'clock to, whatever.
Right, whatever we think is.
Yeah,
Or could you investigate, offer an opportunity for instructors to manage that piece
Yes.
themselves?
exactly.
And let them use the beach, they charge their fee.
Yeah.
And they do all the
Possibility,
logistics
too.
of.
Yeah, running it all, yeah, yeah.
Because unless people do.
Yeah,
Right, like I have no idea, but like I wrote down, the UMF and I wrote down St. Joseph's and I also wrote down YMCA.
Yeah.
Like, do they have anybody that teaches, over in Augusta that would like to do this for us? And, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's
They
Yeah.
have traditionally had somebody years ago, I think, come in from Hawaii.
yeah, because that would be interesting. That'd be worth a conversation too, just to see
Yeah.
if they can do it.
what did they do in Winthrop? Does Lonnie run the swimming lessons down there?
I don't
or-
know if he does or not. I don't know who.
I'm not even sure they have lifeguards on duty.
In Winthrop, really?
Yeah.
They don't do swimming lessons anymore
I
either?
don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Down at the Winthrop Beach, no, there's not any lifeguards.
I knew there were no lifeguards. I don't know if
Yeah.
they offer swim lessons.
I didn't see any kids down there all summer. I mean, I just moved to I moved right down there by the beach and I never saw any
I can actually reach out to Lonnie, I know him quite well.
Yeah. And your kids do stuff with Lonnie, don't they?
they see him all the time.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see, you know, and how, because I know they used to have them. So
Yeah.
how they transitioned
Yeah.
out of that, you
I can
know,
reach out and see.
and I think that's important information to have. I mean, like I said, I never want to see them disappear because I think it's, every kid should be offered that opportunity, but I think there has to be some constraints on what what the, you know, setting some strong parameters for things down there, so.
Could go into the Y and take their kids. any time
Yes,
during the year
exactly.
And get swim lessons.
Mhm,
We wouldn't have to offer them.
mhm.
There's a hand behind it.
A hand? Oh, it's
It's a big-
hand, it's his cursor.
My mouse.
It's Mickey Mouse's hand.
So I guess the only other question, I can reach out to that and maybe we can just kind of like lower that number a little bit with the understanding that the plan is to kind of cut back on.
Yeah,
I could put it to 50 or something if that is comforting. But
At what?
lower it from, because it was at almost 71,000 last year, we could lower it to like 50 and see what we can do, or we can go whatever number I mean, because we don't have a firm plan yet. The other question is whether you want to put, if you do, this ordinance does pass and the rec commission goes away and you want to set up a rec committee and you think you can get people to participate, we may want to put some seed money in here for them. So they have the opportunity to do something. But that's up to you, whether you think giving them 5,000 or something is worthwhile.
so the budget, the actual so far showing, you know, essentially 53,000, that's essentially from July to August when the swim season ends, so.
There's only a little bit left in this fiscal year.
Yes, and then we'd only be seeing, I don't even know, did they start down in there in June?
June.
Yeah, so really, you know. Cause that kind of gives you a sense of what just, you know, full summer period, but
When we ask on the ballot, we're gonna be asking, we're not gonna ask for March.
Okay.
We're gonna wait till June
Yeah.
before we ask.
yeah,
We couldn't ask in March.
no,
Because
cause we have
ballots
to
are
have
already
a-
printed.
yeah, special. So I think I'd be,
I mean, we could make a survey,
yeah,
like a paper one that wouldn't be in the ballot room. But you know how we did that with like, thought,
mhm.
we could do the same thing.
But how much participation?
We
No, I
don't
know.
get much.
Yeah.
It's not really a good sample.
Exactly,
Most
it's not
people
a great
just
sample.
walk right by it.
And a monkey, whatever it is, survey.
Survey
Survey
monkey,
monkey.
yeah, well, that's hard too.
It's hard because once it gets out there, it's whatever. Right, like
One
the
person could vote.
constituent group that feels one way shares it with
Yeah.
everybody that agrees with them. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that having the opinion on the warrant, you know, is.
But then it's too late to.
Well, it's too late to plan this budget, but it will be able to give us an idea about whether or not,
In the future.
yeah,
The
what
next
we
year.
can do for, you know. Cause we can decide after that, after we get that information, we can decide to let people out of town in or not let them in from what we see in that survey. Cause we'll start with the status quo for the start of the beach season.
Yeah,
And then-
basically, yeah.
And then we should have that, you know, we vote June, whatever. And put that,
What was their stance last time? The only Monmouth residents.
Yeah, and then we kind of let them charge fees for a little bit and then realized that we didn't have the authority under the ordinance, so then we let the non-residents go free, because we could do that, but we couldn't let them charge anything.
exactly,
And then I was charged to change the ordinance so
Yeah.
they'd have more authority over deciding
yeah.
who, what, when, and where.
I wanted to violate the ordinance.
Well, we were given bad information, so we were not given the correct information, so. We made a decision based on the information we had, which wasn't correct, so.
What is, what is Lisa's status? Is she no longer employed?
No, she's still employed.
So. I mean, I'd be comfortable with, going to. What number are you like comfortable with the number to bring that
40?
to? 40, that's what I was,
You were saying.
I was thinking 40, you said 50, but I mean, I was kind of
Where are
thinking
you looking?
40. So,
Right here, that,
Oh, okay, this line, 70 and 50.
Yeah.
You reduce the 70 to 40?
yeah, that's kind of where, what I was thinking. Cause it would give us enough of a buffer without,
yeah, maybe it would give us enough to do lifeguards if for part of the day.
yeah,
and,
exactly.
especially the weekends, so.
Mhm.
It'd be kind of a way to experiment. If I know that that's where you're kind of comfortable at budget wise, and we'll just see what we can make work in that budget. That would determine how many hours we can staff and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Do we have to pay sewer when it's shut off down there? Is that a all the time sewer bill? We pay it year-round even if they're not using. the
This building is considered a rec building. So all of these, the invoices for this
Oh,
building
okay.
are included
Oh.
along with the beach.
All right,
So it's like the electricity in this building, the water, all that is it's in the rec budget.
Phone,
Yeah,
heat,
that's all.
so then why does that
He's
go down?
responsible
then?
for all that. You're responsible for all this.
that goes through the rec.
Yeah,
Should we put some of it in the fire department since they're gonna have a weight room facility here?
I guess it comes back to recreation, so.
It's the town's money, I don't.
Yeah, it's one pocket or the other, right?
Right, it just kind of had to be put somewhere and we just kind of,
That's how I've always felt.
Yeah.
Not my money.
Yeah, well, it is, really. It is your money.
I pay tax.
Great weight room right across the street.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
who can use that?
Students.
Exactly. Only when the school is
But
open.
Not the fire department.
No, exactly. Okay,
So do we want to go on to Compton?
want to go to the library next?
library,
Yeah, Dennis would appreciate going last, I think.
yeah,
Dennis there?
Yeah, he's on the phone.
He's on.
yeah.
And Julie's there.
Julie's.
So you're all set, Joe, I would say.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks,
You're
Carol.
Julie?
Hi, good evening.
Thanks, Joe.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
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 Great.
So
Um,
I think, welcome to talk about whatever, Julie, but I think if you just focused on kind of your initiative for the part-time increase.
Yes, so that line, I believe, is the only line I've increased except for the COLA in the full-time. So I wanted to up the part-time line 10,000 to get additional part-time staffers. I found out this winter because one of my staffers had a death in the family, and it was a very stressful time to just have two of us staffers, and it was basically me working alone. I'm needing to get some more part-time help to spread out the workload. So basically I upped that line 10,000, which was a 33% increase. And overall it increased my budget almost 14%. I think historically this budget has always been flat for the many years that I have been here. And I've just realized that, without more part-timers, it's a slippery slope.
Yep,
Yes.
for sure.
Like right now, I'm working every Saturday, most Friday afternoons, I'm alone. I don't know if you have questions about it, but that's basically the issue.
I don't have questions.
I don't have any questions. I think I'm good with that.
Thank you.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Julie.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
On to Compton Hall.
Still there, Dennis?
Hello.
There he is.
Oh, look.
Sorry, I have to remember the dogs. There's a period of time whenever I Zoom from home where the dogs have to get used to the idea that I'm talking to someone. So you may hear a few barks from next door. So hello, good evening. How is everyone doing? Good. So I just wanted to maybe check in and see if you had any questions. I thought maybe I would take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Compton Hall in 2023. I don't really get a chance to report out to the select board. I see a lot of the select board meetings because I load them on YouTube. But I thought maybe if that would be something you'd like, or if you want me to just maybe hush and you ask me questions, I'm open.
You realize, of course, there's two of us here.
I know exactly. So it's sort of like, Joe, I gotta info for you. So whatever you think is appropriate.
Well, he's preaching
wanna
to
hear
the
from the
choir,
guy?
like you said. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Dennis, you know that Doug and I are 100% behind our plan for Compton.
Yeah.
And doing
Yeah,
the
so-
heating and cooling upgrade, I think is an amazing thing to be able to do. But that is, of course, a capital improvement project, but
And in fact, it will be easier than that. Just to give you a sense of it, so the way that this is operating is with a little foresight. A few years ago, there was money set aside through the ARPA funds for this very thing. And so that is helpful. This is a lease purchase agreement. So no money has to be bonded. It will be worked into the operating budget of Compton Hall for 20 years. And that's the way that it will operate. The other opportunity here is to not only update and upgrade the systems that are there, the infrastructure will stay the same. Control will be increased in terms of individual areas and things of that nature. And the efficiency upgrades alone will be such a forward-thinking, and we'll look back at it and sort of think, thank goodness we've done that. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $96,000 in incentives for doing this work. In addition to that is where the $50,000 of the first year anyway of the $50,000 reserve fund for other capital improvements, painting, things like the tower and things like that, replacement of windows and things of that nature. Those are items that, the first year that $50,000 would be set aside from the $96,000 in incentives and savings. You don't get those until the end of the project. So that's kind of the leap that would be made in terms of that. But, it's to me, it's a really forward thinking, technologically sound upgrade.
That project is reflected on your capital sheet.
Yeah.
And you'll see there's like kind of a yellow line there, and we're kind of just, I don't remember if it says 50 or if I still have it at 25, but yeah, so.
Yeah.
The idea would be to create a reserve fund like we've been doing, like with paving and things like that, where we would try to keep it at that level all the time. But this would be our opportunity to fund it without it having to hit the tax rate. We could take the rebate that we should get in late October, November, if this project goes forward, because they'll be done. It's usually like 60 to 90 days to get the money from Efficiency Maine. And then we would we'd ask the townsfolk to put 50 of the 90 into the reserve fund, and then we will have it funded. And then as Dennis and you folks see fit to spend it, we would then hopefully every year we would replenish whatever was taken out. So there'd always be money there for example, like when the basement flooded and we needed to hire TC Hafford and we only did a little bit of it because we didn't have any money sitting around, we could get that fixed and we wouldn't have to, wait. So that's kind of the idea. The remainder of that, Dennis has an idea for it, but there is the remainder of, the 46,000 after that can be used either to offset something we already have in the budget, or Dennis has a pitch for you that I think you can make, right, Dennis?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that we noticed, and especially during the storm, the December 18th storm when we lost power, was oddly enough, there is no backup generator at the hall. There is no, built-in, now it seems. So my pitch would be that with some of that 40,000, to investigate maybe having a backup generator system at Compston to avoid, backups and flooding, but also, looking at Compston Hall as a place where, if people keep the library open, people need the library, they need internet. I know there are other places around. I know the fire department does that, but it seems like we could certainly do a part of that as well. I don't think there'd be any reason to think it would have to power all of Compston. We're not doing theater productions well, the power's out, but that remains to be seen. But I think that having something like that would be a wise use, and again, forward thinking, in terms of the future. And I hate to say it, but storms like that I think are going to happen more often.
Very least, just to keep the heat on.
Well,
So we
keep the
don't,
heat on.
we don't freeze
and-
pipes.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
run the sump pump if we do have,
Right,
you know,
something like that.
rain and power loss. So I think it's a great idea, to make sure that building stays warm.
Yeah, and if you want me to talk a little bit, I'd like to maybe share a little information about Compston in terms of the operating budget, if you think that'd be a good transition now.
Well, I had a question, I don't know, before I
Yeah,
forget it.
absolutely. Yeah.
When the train is doing the turnover to the new system,
Yes.
and it's gonna be in November, December,
That's the hope.
but it'll be cold then, so will the building, will there still be something there to?
Yes.
I think they're
so-
hoping to come in there in October, right, Dennis? I think it's October.
Right,
isn't it?
right. We're hoping that it's early enough that we won't have to worry what I call the crossover, right? There'll be times where we're bringing the new system online. We don't want to do that in the dead of winter. So that's the hope. And they also understand that. There's also timing with user groups and things like that. And so once we, hopefully when this is approved, we'll be able to really then kind of pinpoint what the timeline really is. But yes, you are correct. I would like to do this as early as possible so that we don't have to have any kind of heat issue or cooling issue.
Which is one of the reasons we came earlier and kind of put the cart before the horse to pay for the engineering work so they could get the process going, so that then they'd have time to procure the design and get it done before winter.
Yeah. And hopefully
It's
we
not
head
their first
into.
rodeo.
Right, yeah, they've done this.
They've had to work
Yeah.
around cold
Yeah,
and changing
and
overheat.
all of the infrastructure is train infrastructure anyway. So when it was first installed, the condensers for the AC that are being replaced are made by Trane. There's been talk about where the new heat pump looking things will go. There's been talk about that area back there they don't need to be there anymore, and we wouldn't have to run anything underground. if we put them underneath the metal staircase out back. You know, and I don't know what that looks like, but that was a question. They're not big giant things, so it wouldn't be terrible, but I would, you know, I want to see what that's going to look like. Not going underground alone is going to save a lot of money. So I just want to see, but that's the only thing really. Otherwise, they've done a walkthrough. They've talked about different ways of getting the equipment into the building. If you've ever been down in Cumston Hall's very basement and bowels, you'll see there's a lot of ducking you have to do, crawling even.
Fuel that's being used is electricity or heating oil or propane?
Yep. So the way that Cumston Hall, in order to avoid what I would call mega bill, we cannot reduce our fossil fuel consumption to zero. So we will still have a boiler, but it will not be 1 million BTUs. It will be new and updated and efficient, and still provide what we need it to provide.
Oh, oil.
Right, still number 2 heating oil. The rest of the system, which is the heat pumps, that will work also off of electricity. So number 2 heating oil for the new high efficiency boiler that will be in place. It's much smaller. You know, it's basically going to save us. It's going to save us an enormous amount of money on heating oil alone. Right now, the domestic hot water in Cumston comes from that 1 million BTU boiler.
It's supposed to save us almost 10,000 a year in just number 2 heating oil.
Yes, sir.
So it's a
That is
significant.
correct.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. You were going to go tell us more.
Yes, I just wanted to mention about Cumston Hall, just a few things in terms of the operating budget. I know it's getting late, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I want to give you a sense of some of the programs and things like that that have been going on at the hall over the last 3 years. I've kept data basically about what Cumston is doing, how it is being utilized, and just to give you some numbers, some data. I started keeping track of user groups, rentals, and revenue that Cumston Hall Rentals made. Any user group that rented the hall, I kept this information for. So to give you some sense of it, in 2021, Cumston Hall was rented a total of 14 times. And these are give or take, these are what I had. There might have been someone that like came in for a special meeting or maybe a select board meeting. But in 2021, 14 rentals, and the total rental income was $2,115. The theater at Monmouth lease in 2021 was $8,000. So that made total revenue at Cumston Hall that we made from rentals and the theater at Monmouth as $10,115. And so that's kind of a nice baseline. It was out of the pandemic. It's kind of where we started, and we saw that. In 2022, we had rentals of $2,675. Cumston Hall was rented 22 times, so an increase of 8. The theater at Monmouth lease was increased to $12,000. So the total revenue of rentals of Cumston Hall was $14,675, an increase of $4,500. So the third year, last year, you can imagine where this trend is going. In 2023, Cumston Hall was rented 27 times. The rental income alone was $14,180. The theater at Monmouth lease is still $12,000, which made our total rental revenue $16,180, almost a $2,000 increase. So just so that it's a part of the record and it's understood, you know, we're seeing programs and things that we are doing at Cumston Hall, how the select board is supporting Cumston Hall is really paying off in the amount of people coming to Cumston Hall, which is my philosophy is why Cumston Hall is in our town. A lot of these rentals include individual groups, families looking for a birthday party or a shower, and other groups that come in, and nonprofit groups that bring audience and crowds and people to Cumston. In fact, right now there is a group of Shakespeare homeschoolers at Cumston Hall, or they were today rehearsing for their shows over the next 2 weekends. So a lot of things going on at Cumston. And to that end, how it relates to the operating budget, there have been some, in terms of supplies and things like that. But overall, I feel pretty confident with, where we are with numbers in terms of the operating budget. If you have any questions, I will field them.
I'm good, Dennis.
All right. Okay.
I guess I'm wondering about theater at Monmouth. I understand there's financial crisis.
Sure. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I know they had a January fundraiser where they raised $2,500 or $25,000. In fact, $25,500.
$500.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty sure that like a lot of theaters in America, they're looking to a way to build their audience. The Theater at Monmouth has announced their 55th anniversary season at Cumston Hall. And I would just say this, since you brought it up and I have the floor, I would say that, the Theater at Monmouth is as valuable to the town of Monmouth as any other resource, any other industry, any other business. And while they are a nonprofit, they still bring in folks that are here for 3 months, contributing to the economy, doing that sort of thing, paying sales tax when they buy a drink at the quick shop or whatever, and they're bringing folks to this beautiful town to share it. So I hope that's I hope they continue on the 56th season. And I think ultimately it's the people in the town of Monmouth who will support that and say, there's a professional theater in your backyard. Let's go see a play. And it drew me here. So I guess it's pretty good.
No, it's certainly an asset to the town, and we want to support it as much as we can.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's about all I can speak to it. I know that they are planning and moving ahead, and we're having our user group meeting in May. So I should know more about it then.
So there's no chance that they're gonna decide that maybe they won't do another season?
No, I don't feel that. I really don't. If I usually am pretty good about that, but I do not get that instance. I feel like there are enough people that they are going to pull through this. It's a history, and it's happened with the Theater at Monmouth. It happened with the Savoyards. It's just being able to adapt and build your audience. So I don't get that sense. I'll just be honest with you.
Do you have ideas about what could be done to, as a theater person?
Sure. I mean, yes, I mean, I do, but I feel like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me to say. I feel like, the Theater at Monmouth is an asset to the town, and keeping the Theater at Monmouth moving forward is important. It's important to Cumston Hall. It's important to the town.
Okay, I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. And I appreciate you staying late. So thank you.
Thanks.
See ya. On to we want to do that, have you do that, because we get it. And
I
we can
haven't seen
look
it
at
yet,
I
but
know.
I think that, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I think
It's not
other
up to me,
people
It's up to you guys.
have
you
him
know.
read it. I'm always interested.
Yeah, but you get it and you.
I haven't read it yet because it hadn't come when I left the house.
Right, it just came, that's why I've been looking at my phone and waiting for it, and it just
Yeah.
showed up, but it's.
But I think I think it's important for people that do decide to watch the YouTube video, if they hear those numbers, I think it puts in perspective, you
Okay,
know, for
Yes.
me, that's what I think. I
Yeah.
think, you
all right,
know,
okay.
the folks out there in Zoom land, so
You mean, you think there are people out there?
I think there are, not right now, but later on.
There's Arian Ryan.
Yeah, from the KJ, he's listening for
It depends.
tomorrow.
If you guys do something interesting, sometimes there's like 15 people watch it. But I know that Darcy's one of them and I'm one and Dennis is another, so there's 3. Right, Darcy?
Well, the thing that.
We watch the Zoom thing, so we're one of 3.
Yeah.
that
I have to
told me
watch it.
that the views of the Academy Building Committee meetings
Maybe more than.
are a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe,
they're
yeah.
getting, you know, hundreds of views.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are, no
Yes.
offense, but.
Yes.
Wow,
The select board, maybe we're not that exciting,
Yeah.
so.
we could do something.
Well, I don't know about that.
Joe would be good for.
You could give a lecture on real estate law.
Yeah. We need pillows and blankets.
See, Bob Hope and Jimmy Cagney dancing on the table at like a Friars Club meeting or something.
No.
It's on YouTube, and if you ever think about it, you should. It's
Are you
Yeah, you
suggesting you and Joe
suggesting
should do
it,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope.
That might get some views. You want me to read this?
Yes,
Okay.
go for it.
Androscoggin County for the PSAP agreement, 18,297. Dennis K. Burke, $1,546. Boyd and King, $5,500, oh, no, there's 2, $7,132. PDI Services, the janitorial service, $3,118. HP Fairfield, weld screen, Public Works, $1,022. Kennebec Valley Humane Society, $1,835. That's our per capita fee for the shelter. Lawson Products, Inc., Public Works Supplies, $1,167. Main Technology Group, IT, February Services, $2,068. New England Salt Company, $2,784. O'Connor Chevrolet Buick, truck broke down, it got towed, $1,828. I'm just gonna say Isabel, the girl helping with the comp plan, I don't know how to pronounce her other name, $3,756. Royer Advisors, $7,325. State of Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, $3,946. A grand total of $62,650.93.
I make a motion, we approve fiscal year 23-24 warrant number 16.
Motion by Chris, second by Joe, to approve the warrant. All those in favor?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?